All right. Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome back. This is week 2 of our 8-week challenge in the spring. And this is our Healthy Not Boring Nutrition Talk series. Yes, it's a mouthful, but our main goal with today's call, like any call, is to give you a little information and education so you can then go have some application of that in your life. You can learn a little bit of something today and take that with you and apply it throughout the weeks ahead. You're going to see the benefits when it comes to reaching your health and nutritional goals. Okay. Why do we call it healthy, not boring? Because we love food, right? I used to be 300 pounds. I love food. It's just it's how it happens, you know. I like eating good meals. I don't like eating boring meals. I know what I like and I eat a lot of it now, but that doesn't mean that I can't be a normal person and I can't go eat out, or I can't go enjoy myself at an event or a wedding or something like that, or treat myself to something every so often. But we want to give you the information so you totally understand, you know, how to set up yourself with a successful foundation when it comes to hitting your goals. What happens if we don't do these things, and then how we can fill the gaps along the way with some supplementation information as well. Okay, so we want to clear some things up today about one topic that we care about. We talk about this all the time. So if you're returning, welcome back. We're going to go into this information again. Maybe there's something that you forgot, maybe something that we can review. But if you're new, welcome. Is this anyone's first nutrition call with us? Deepa, all right. Ginger, not Ginger, alias Ginger. I like it. What's up? Mary Jo coming back. Fire, I like it. Cool. So our idea, Rachel, is that a thumbs up first call, or thumbs up like, hey, everybody? Okay, I love it. Cool. Glad that you guys are here. Let's do some new peeps. Okay. Today is our Protein 101 call. We love talking about protein. If your advisor hasn't spoken to you about protein yet, shame on them, right? We're going to go over why protein is so important, right? How it benefits us when it comes to our goals and other areas of the body. What happens when we don't have the right amount of protein every single day. We're going to go over what is protein, what isn't protein, how to understand what's in protein, how much protein to have throughout the meals, through the days, how it's broken down, and then when to supplement with protein if we're unable to get it in through a whole food. So lots to cover, but it's going to be more simple than you think. Our goal is to be simple and, you know, apply this so we can see the effectiveness in our lives. So let's review. We touched on a little bit of this last week. So those of you who have been with us before, what is protein? All right, I just want to leave it there, like in the sense of what it is as a whole, in the category of the other two of these things. What is protein? What do we call it? What do we track every day? Ace, you unmuted yourself.
I thought I was
macronutrients.
Macronutrients. Is that Claudia? I heard the voice. Jess, Claudia. Okay. Yeah, it's a macronutrient. Okay. It's one of the macronutrients that we track every single day. Okay. Who remembers what it does? It was from last week. What does protein as a macromolecule do for the body?
It helps you build lean muscle tissue, improve cognitive function, helps your bones, joints, ligaments, hair, nails, organs.
Let's go. Charles coming through. Everything. Yeah. Protein muscle synthesis, cognitive function, hair, skin, nails, bones, joints, organs, ligaments. Helps your immune system. Protein is going to help with every area of the body. Okay. Not just to put on lean muscle, not just to, you know, get stronger. If it just did that, you know, we wouldn't have a long call to talk about. Okay. Protein is super important for life, for you, for your, it's the building blocks, you know, amino acids are building blocks of protein, and protein is going to help you do daily things so you can perform every single day, from your head to your heart and everything in between. Okay. Now, we know what it is. We know what it does. Now, how can we categorize protein? What food areas, food groups, food categories can we consider, does your body consider, right? Let me rephrase. Does your body recognize as a protein?
Oh, you mean like fish or poultry or meat or non-fat dairy?
That's right. That's 4 of the 5. Got it. Charles was on the call last week. We got meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, and what's the 5th one?
Nuts.
One more time.
Nuts.
So nuts have protein in it. All right, but we're going to
Okay,
get to
how
that
about
in a second.
legumes?
Legumes as well. These are great answers because they do have some protein in it, but we're going to get to that in just 1 second. The last category, AJ typed it in the box. Supplements. Claudia, yeah, coming in. Now, when we think about seeds and nuts and legumes, right? When we're reading what is a protein, right? When we want to check, we want to make sure, like we went over last week, and I'll refresh everybody for this week. We want to read the nutrition label on the back of an item in the supermarket or the grocery store, right? We don't want to be sucked into the ads on the front, all right? This like healthy protein cereal or high protein snack, okay? Because odds are that it does have more protein in it when comparing it to and aligning it with others in the same category. Like if you go get a high protein cereal, high protein Cheerios, let's say, and you compare it to regular Cheerios, the carbs are probably going to be the same in like the 40 to 50 range. And then the protein is probably going to be 9 versus 11, right? So it's going to be higher, but it's still going to have the higher number under carbohydrates on the nutrition label. So it's going to say fat, carbs, and in the bottom, they're going to sneak in protein. Okay. Same thing with, so you said almond nuts or almonds or pistachios or cashews. They definitely have protein in it, right? A serving of almonds is going to have 7 grams of protein in it. And that's a nice amount of protein for that little bit of food. But it's going to be a fat source first because it has 14 grams of fat in it. So what that means is your body's going to recognize that food as an energy source. So you can go do things before, in our goal sense, or what we're thinking about when it comes to our goals, use it as a fuel source to help rebuild and lean muscle tissue. Same thing with legumes. Beans do have a source of protein within them. However, if it has 8 grams of protein in a serving of beans, it's going to have 13 grams of carbohydrates first. So your body is going to use that as a carbohydrate, as a preference for energy before it uses it as a protein. Also, the likelihood, and we're going to get to this more in a little bit when we break it down, it's probably going to be an incomplete protein source. And I'll leave that there and I'll wait for it. We should let Charles run the call. Yeah, Charles, you up for that? Edamame pasta has higher protein than carbs per serving. Yeah, that's a great example. So if you found something that does have a higher volume of protein versus carbs, right? You probably had to figure that out by looking at the nutrition label. So if it is higher by, at least 1 in carbs and a couple more than that in the fats, you're going to have that be a good protein source for the body. Now we'll get to the incomplete versus complete protein source. Come back to these meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, and supplements, because those meals are going to have a complete protein in it as well. So before we touch on that, how much protein are we looking to have every single day?
28 grams.
28 grams of protein every day. That's it.
1 gram per desired body weight.
Ah, there we go. Ace, I think you misheard the question because you're getting there. Claudia hit it. 1 gram of protein per pound of our desired or goal body weight. Now I got a question before this call. Somebody answered the text messages that we send out. I got really excited. I was like, oh, what's going on? If we have excess protein, does that turn to body fat? Have you guys ever heard that before? Anybody ever hear that before? Maybe. Okay. So what we want to focus on is that your protein is always in a state of flux, right? It's building or breaking down. So if you do have extra of anything in your day, protein is going to be the food that we actually want to lean on, because when we eat this much protein, the idea is that we want to eat for where we're going, not where we currently are. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you want to weigh 150 pounds, we would want to have, and you're eating only 100 grams of protein a day, that isn't going to be a sufficient amount of protein to get your body to a lean, strong, toned 150 pounds. If we're only eating 100 grams or less of protein a day and we're 200 pounds, we may lose weight if we're under eating total calories, but we're going to become a smaller, softer version of ourselves in that process. So this is a really good time to pause and put a pin in the comparison between weight loss and fat loss, right? If anybody here wants to lose weight, that's great. But remember, we don't want to lose muscle. Muscle is going to weigh an amount too. And if you compare 5 pounds of muscle to 5 pounds of fat, the 5 pounds of muscle is going to be much tighter, leaner, and denser, and the 5 pounds of fat is going to be much larger. Okay, but just because the scale doesn't move in the direction that you may want it to every single week or as much as you'd like it to, if we have the right amount of protein every day, that shows us that there's a likelihood that you're putting on more lean muscle and you're losing that body fat, and then we can adjust the rest of the calories along the way. Okay. Likewise, if you are 150 pounds and you want to weigh 180 pounds and you're only eating 150 grams of protein, your body is going to have a really tough time in building that lean muscle to get to 180 pounds of strong, lean, tight, and toned body composition if you are underfeeding it the amount of protein that your body desires. Okay. So having the amount of protein that you're eating every day, we want to try and get to that number. If you happen to go over, the benefit of eating more protein is that is the most difficult macronutrient to break down, all right? One of the benefits of protein, right, that we didn't touch on, Charles didn't touch on, so we can review so you can run the call next time, just kidding, all right, is that protein is the most satiating macronutrient. Protein is going to keep you full. So if you struggle with hunger cravings throughout the day and you're under eating protein, the likelihood of you being less hungry at different points throughout the day is going to happen when you start to bump up that protein a little bit each and every single meal to get to that goal at the end of the day. When you do eat more protein, guess what? You're going to burn more calories, right? Because when you burn more calories, when you eat more protein, it's so tough to break down in the body compared to carbs and fats. Your body's going to work harder to do so. So when that does happen, you're going to actually help yourself burn more calories so you can burn body fat and lose that weight that you want to lose. Okay. So to answer that question on that myth of if you overeat, do you put on body fat? Typically, yes. If you overeat by hundreds and hundreds of calories every day, you're going to put on more body fat. But if you go over a little bit of protein compared to where it is that your goals are, that's going to be okay because it's actually going to benefit you in the sense of keeping you full, burning more calories, and helping you reach your goals. But talk to your advisor about what the right amount is, and we can go from there. Okay. All right, Eric. I talked a lot. I talked about what happens when we do get the protein in. All right. Talked about what happens when we don't get enough protein in. So what's the ideal serving size of protein and why?
Yeah, guys. So what Kevin's talking about here is like the ideal serving size for each meal that we're going to consume throughout the day is going to be roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. And the reason why we're pushing towards that number is so that we can have a actual viable amount of things called essential amino acids. It's something that you have to consume. All right. Your body can't make it, so you have to get it through our food. So we have that full profile. So we're giving our muscle tissue everything that it needs so that it can rebuild, repair. And then again, like we've been talking about, so we're going to be adding lean muscle tissue. We add lean muscle tissue, our body burns more calories, not only while we're moving, but while we're just sitting around. So if we're looking at like our total day, like if someone's protein goal for the day was 150 grams of protein per day, ideally, if we could fit it in outside of like a post-workout shake, somebody would have 530 gram of protein per meals throughout their day. And that'd be, of course, be trying to spaced out every 2.5, 3 hours, kind of depending on how our day is. And we can go and talk into more of like how, if like I work overnight or if my day is just structured weird, there's a big break. And of course, that's why Cavan, Katie, myself, and Justin are all here to teach you guys those things personally. Like, hey, this is how my day's structured. How could I still know that I can make sure that I hit my protein goal?
Absolutely. I mean, the idea is like when we have that amount of protein, we're getting into what's called an anabolic state, right? And the reason why we want to have that every 2 to 4 hours is because if you eat protein, right? Let's show an imaginary line right here. This is the course of your day. You eat protein, you're going to push your body into this anabolic state. We'll just call it a muscle building state for the time being. You're going to digest that, start to break it down. Once it's break down and used, all right, a couple hours later, you're going to fall below the line. When we fall below the line, we go into this catabolic state. And for our purposes today, that'll be a muscular breakdown state. Now, like I said earlier, protein's in a state of flux. We're building or breaking down. We want to build muscle as long as possible because then we're burning more calories, we're rebuilding, we're recovering, and we're going to be able to see the benefits of that through energy and performance and getting leaner and tighter and toned and not as hungry throughout the course of the day. So if we have a full profile of amino acids, right, in that 25 to 30 grams through meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, or supplements, right, then we'll be able to stay in this anabolic state, right? And then if we go down a couple hours later, we have another meal and it comes right back up. Now, some meals might be a little higher, 40 or 50 grams. Some might be a little lower, 20 to 24 grams. The idea is, we want the law of averages, right? The goal, remember, is number one, is to get it in throughout the course of the day. Now, what might benefit you the most is having that every 2 to 4 hours so you can stay in this anabolic state as long as possible so you can reap the benefits of the protein muscle synthesis happening, saying in effect, you feeling a lot leaner, tighter, and more toned. All right, benefiting from your workouts as you build more lean muscle, and so on and so forth. Okay. Do you guys have any questions on the types of protein, the amount of protein, amino acids in general, before we keep going forward? Got a lot of words in there. Katie, you want to touch on that if you've been reading it? I didn't see the question.
Brittany asked, should we strive for mostly whole food or are protein supplements such as protein cookies, bars, drinks sufficient? Listen, at the end of the day, if you hit your protein goal, that's really all we care about. Do we care about you eating mostly whole food? Absolutely. But we are going to get into when we recommend having a supplement over whole food. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But at the end of the day, always strive for whole food. But if that protein shake or a protein cookie or protein bar is convenient and that's what's going to help you hit your numbers, then by all means do it. Like, I have protein shakes a day to help me hit my numbers, and that's just what works for me.
Yeah, so let's continue with that for a second. I think it's super important to understand that your body doesn't know the difference between a protein shake and eggs or steak or a piece of turkey or a piece of fish or a piece of chicken. Right? It just knows it as protein. If it is this whole source protein, right? Meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, like non-fat Greek yogurt, or supplements, if protein is the main macronutrient that's within that, then that will be utilized for all the things that we spoke about when it comes to protein, which will lead to better training, which will lead to better results, which will lead to, confidence in your ability to do these things, versus not hitting that protein goal, which will lead to less energy, less protein synthesis, likelihood of getting sick, maybe some cognitive function, hunger throughout the day, not having great workouts, not recovering from your workouts, so not wanting to go back to your workouts. It's a slippery slope, right? My note on the protein cookies and brownies is make sure you read the label, right? Because not all proteins are created equally. So find out where this is made. What type of facility is this made in? What type of protein is actually in this, right? Because is it, we're going to get into that in a second. And also, don't be, swayed because it's at a GNC or a vitamin shop or, the health food section at Walmart where it's, this is healthy just because it's a protein forward snack or supplement, right? There's a lot of misinformation out there. For instance, one thing that I used to have all the time because I wasn't paying attention to it. And I really like cookies. If you know me, were those Lenny's and Larry's cookies. Because I was like, oh, I could have this. And you look at the label on the cookie and it's like half a cookie is a serving and it's 200 and something calories. So I was eating a cookie every day and it was 500 plus calories, but it was a little bit of protein and mainly carbs and fats. So, you know, if you're going to have a cookie, you might as well eat a real one and then just go have a protein source but alongside of it, and it'll probably be around the same amount of calories. So don't think that, you know, just adding those to your day is going to be beneficial if it isn't like the right sourced protein or the right type of protein. And then make sure that those macros and the rest of those and the rest of that fit your day as well. But Katie is right. Like our goal is to, if you're new, if you're just getting started or you hit a slump or you're trying to get back, we're getting that protein in every single day, no matter what. And then we can kind of flex what type of foods we eat. All right, to get more of that meat, centering your plate around meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, or supplements is going to be key. And then we can add the carbs and fats around it. Okay, so shifting to supplementation. Supplements are created to fill a gap in your day. Okay, when you cannot have something through whole foods, that is when supplements come into your day. Oftentimes, people get really excited about supplementation, and I go and look at their meal tracking, and 90% of their day is supplement intake. And that bothers me because that is not a sustainable lifestyle. When it comes to healthy, not boring, and our mindset, we want to make sure that you guys are having a good developing a good relationship with food, so you understand that you can choose what you want to eat and change the portion of what you are eating in, you know, moderation to get to where you want to be. Okay. And when you aren't able to eat a whole food, that is an optimal time to add in a supplement in whatever category it might fall under, to help you with the nutritional need where you are deficient, so you can more optimally have a chance to reach your goals. Does anyone not want to reach their goals? Okay, so when we recommend a supplement to you, it is because at that point, we have tried to have you do this through whole foods. And if it's not working out, our goal is to get you to your goals. So therefore, we will recommend a supplement so you can do that. That is our sole intention. So if you are unable to do any of these any of these whole food options and any of the categories we talk about over the next 7 weeks, there are supplements to help, but it is not a supplements first mentality. It's, hey, try this. If that doesn't work, then do this. Because the goal is to still get to where you want to be. Whichever path you decide is up to you. Okay, just want to put that out there. Now, the only time we're recording this, we're going to recommend a supplement over a whole food is after your workout, post-workout. The reason being is because at this time, your body is in such a state of stress, whether you feel really good after you train or you feel like death after you train, your body is in a state of stress, and we want to help ease that stress back into homeostasis in a normal state. So speed is going to be king here. Speed wins every single time post-workout. Remember, we said when you eat a meal that is protein forward, 25 to 30 grams every 2 to 4 hours, that means it's going to take 2 to 4 hours for that to break down in your gut, digest in the small intestine, absorb into the body, and then get to where it needs to be. Okay, every 2 to 4 hours. If we waited 2 to 4 hours after we trained, we would not recover well to be able to train tomorrow. And does anybody not want to train tomorrow? Maybe you don't, maybe it's your rest day, but the idea is we want to move for 45 minutes every single day. So we want to put ourselves in an ideal situation to recover, right? A lot of people get it twisted. You don't drink a protein shake, all right, to build lean muscle right away. You drink a protein shake so you can recover so you can go train tomorrow and go do it all over again. When you're in the gym, you break down your body. You don't build it up. All right. So maybe you didn't never taken a protein shake before and you're like, well, I work out, I'm fine. That's like paying the minimum off on your credit card. You're like, just getting by. You're not really making any progress in developing your credit. So we want to train hard, break down our body, beat it up, and then give it exactly what it needs to recover so that when I come back and do it again the next day, I feel up for it and I can do it again. Okay. What we recommend, okay, post-workout is called, it's a mouthful. It's a hydrolyzed whey protein isolate that is low temperature processed. Okay. Now, whey protein is a byproduct when creating milk. Okay. Simply put, a byproduct of when they're creating milk. It is a gelatin-like substance. Think like egg whites when, or an egg white when you just open it up, it's just like gel and sitting there. And when you apply heat to an egg white, this gel turns to a solid. When you apply heat to whey, it's going to turn to a solid and then eventually turn to a powder. Okay. Not all proteins are created equally. When you cook something at high heat, it'll turn out one way. When you cook something at low heat, it'll turn out another way. The benefit of low temperature processing is that it's going to retain the nutrient density of the whey itself. Now, if I had 2 pieces of chicken breast, identical, okay, on the bone, and I throw one on the grill at 900 degrees, and I throw one in the crock pot and cook it low and slow for 12 hours, they're still chicken, right? Identical. Boop, put them in there. 15 minutes later, I take that chicken out of the grill. It's charred, it's black, it's dismantled, it smells, it looks something like chicken, but it's all been burnt out of shape. And then I take 12 hours later, I open the crock pot, take the chicken out. It smells delicious, it's soft, it's gonna fall right off the bone. I present them both to you on a plate. Which one are you gonna choose? The grilled or the slow cooked? The slow cooked option is probably what you're thinking. Don't even think about what it looks like, but if you ate them both, which one is going to feel better on your gut? Which one is going to feel better inside of you? Okay, the one that actually looks and tastes like chicken versus the one that tastes like charcoal. Okay, so protein is no different. And the thing with the protein industry, it is not regulated by the FDA. Anybody can go open up a protein shop in their mom's basement and make some protein and sell it online. Okay. So one of the things that we look for is the FDA stamp of approval on the proteins that we buy. All right. And it's no surprise that we all work with and love and have been customers of First Form, who actually pays someone to do this, right? They make their products in what's called an SQF level 3 facility, which then they get the FDA stamp of approval on the product, which therein lies having the amount of nutrient density within that product that you will get upon consumption. If it's there and it doesn't have the FDA stamp of approval, that means that at some point during the creation process, it definitely had that amount of protein in it, but you don't know when, whether it was at the beginning, before the heat was applied, in the middle, or when you're eating it. So if you got a brand that you like, do your research and see how that protein was made. Okay, so now that we know that not all proteins are created equally, Katie, let's talk about hydrolyzed whey protein isolate. I got it right. I didn't have to stutter over those words this time. Let's go. Why hydrolyzed? Why whey? Why isolate? What the heck does that mean?
So first off, let's break down like what the difference is between an isolate and a concentrate, because you see those terms in any supplement store that you go to when you're looking for protein powders. Isolate is pretty self-explanatory. It's isolated, which means the protein content is isolated. There's going to be less carbs and fats to help speed up that digestion. When there's more carbs and fats in the protein, that is a concentrate, or it's concentrated with different milk proteins, and like it could have a whey protein concentrate and an isolate blend. So that would be more concentrated, which means it has more carbs and fats, which also means it's going to digest slower. In the post-workout setting, we want you guys to have something that's very fast digesting, because that speed of recovery is king. We want you guys to recover as fast as possible so you're less sore, you're retaining and rebuilding and repairing your muscle tissue, and you're replenishing your energy. So like Cavan said, you can go back and do the same thing tomorrow. Because a lot of times what happens is you end up being sore after 2 days of working out. And then because you're sore, you don't want to go. And then you take 3 days off of the gym. And then it's like, oh, 3 days have gone by. I don't really want to go today either. And then it's just this vicious cycle of like, well, we need you to be exercising as well as like hitting your protein and calories, right? So isolate is super important because it's going to be less carbs and fats, more protein. When it's hydrolyzed, it means that there are digestive enzymes introduced to the processing of the whey protein. So it helps break down that protein even more. So your body doesn't have to go through the process of digesting it. Because again, your body is not really in a state to digest food when you're done training because your stress levels are so high. It just needs to repair and recover as fast as possible. So having something that's already pre-broken down for you is going to be very beneficial so that it can get in, repair the muscle, do its job, and then you build more muscle over time, you retain more muscle over time. If you do that, you burn more fat over time. You're muted.
Absolutely. I was agreeing with you. Sorry. Didn't want to get the dogs rolling in your video. So this whey protein isolate that's been hydrolyzed is going to be essential for speed, right? If it's pre-digested, you can absorb it right away, which then leads to muscle recovery right away after your training, which leads to better recovery for the next day. All right. One thing that we haven't touched on is something that pairs with this, right? And this is, if you've seen my story or Eric's story or Katie's story, something that we take every single day. We mix this whey protein hydrolyzed isolate with a glucose monosaccharide. In simple terms, it's sugar, okay? Monosaccharide means 1, disaccharide means 2, trisaccharide means 3, and this one sugar molecule that doesn't need to be broken down, okay? So while sugar is scary, think about this. When your body is in a state of stress, cortisol levels rise. We want to lower those down. To do that, we need to spike our insulin levels a little bit. So what we want to do is have that glucose monosaccharide in our system immediately after we train, so we can start to replenish the energy levels that we've used during training. What I mean by that is when we work out, we do 2 things. We break down our muscles, and to do that, we use the energy from the food that we've eaten. When we use those energy levels, and then we go about our day later on and we don't replenish them or try to start the replenishment process, you're going to feel like crap. You're going to have foggy brain. You're going to be tired. The next day, you're going to be sore. So what we do is mix this whey protein hydrolyzed isolate with this glucose monosaccharide, all right, in the same cup immediately after you train, like before you leave the gym. This should be had, right? It takes, I like to sip on it and enjoy it, but typically I'm chugging it because it tastes so good and I want to get that in my body as quickly as possible, because within the next 20 to 30 minutes, it's going to be through your system and you're going to be able to start the recovery process. Okay. The reason why we do this is because we want to see you guys make the most of your training and see the results as quickly as possible. And if you were to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice after you train, or have a yogurt after you train, or just have a piece of steak after you train, that's going to take too long, and it isn't going to be as efficient to get you optimal results for better results in the gym, more confidence in your journey. And we want to make sure you're seeing results here. So this combination that we're talking about is called the post-workout stack. Okay, post-workout stack, the protein is called Formula 1, and the carbohydrate is called Ignition. Okay, we want to combine Formula 1 and Ignition, the flavor of your choice, okay, after every intense training session. Now, Cavan, what does intense training mean? I see your Foster. I see your question. Give me a second on that. After your training, intense training session is actually something where you put forth good muscular effort. Your heart rate got really high. It could be a weightlifting session, a CrossFit class, a hard run. All right. You would not have ignition, the carbohydrate, after a casual walk or a yoga session or something. Eric puts it best. If you can't have a normal conversation because you're short of breath, okay, and you're struggling to put sentences together, probably not a great time to have ignition. We want to have the ignition after our tough workouts, which is going to be most of the workouts throughout the week. Now, if you do have an active recovery day, all good. You can still have Formula One at any point during your day, right? I have some in the evening if I'm short on protein and I just need something quick and I don't want to cook something up. However, I'm not going to mix that with ignition because I know that I don't need the extra carbs because my body wasn't in a state of stress. It doesn't need to replenish the energy levels. So what do you do if you are fasting 11 to 7, workout at 5:40 a.m.? So that's a loaded question. So I don't have it. Again, I mean, is that every day that you're working out at 5:40 a.m.? Where are you? I don't see your face. Mrs. Foster. I like it. So professional.
Yes, every day I work out. It's 5:30 in this type.
So there have been studies that have shown if you do have this fast digesting. So let me backtrack. This is we'll cover this in our a level 2 call. But fasting these things happen, right? So it has been proven that if you are looking to train and put on lean muscle, it is okay to have the protein earlier in the day when you are fasting, right? Especially if it's this pre-digested protein that's going to be utilized right away. You're not going to have to sit on it, digest it, break it down. Now, for you specifically, I would ask, like, am I doing fasting because it fits my day and I don't have to spend a lot of time around food, or am I doing fasting to actually help clear out my gut and make sure that everything is reset in my gut, right? There have been times in my fasting where I have had the protein in the morning, and there have been times where I have not had the protein in the morning because I'm getting that protein in throughout the course of my day and letting my body utilize the protein that it has stored. So I would say if you are, well, let me ask you this, are you having it or aren't you having it? Are you there? You're muted if
Yes,
you're talking.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
So what was the question? Am I
Are
having
you
it?
are you having the protein after you train, or are you not?
I am not.
Okay. I would experiment with it. I would have it, right? I don't think it's going to have an adverse reaction effect on your fasting, especially if you're looking to see more of the results when it comes to lean muscle growth and recovery in your workouts. I would say it's even if you can have like half a serving at that time to help the recovery process, it isn't going to be a detriment to your fast.
Okay.
That's my personal preference. I would say, everything like this is meant to have trial and error. So if you try it for a few weeks and you like the way you look and feel, then keep rolling with it. And we can, you can work with your advisor from there.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool. Of course. Okay. So back to post-workout. Post-workout, like I said, super important when it comes to you and reaching your goals. If we don't do that, we're less likely to recover to the best of our ability or optimally, which will there affect our training program, which there will affect our ability to see the results that we want to see. Does anybody have any questions on protein, amino acids, timing, amount, food types, post-workout? We would love to answer them for you right now. Nothing. We got everything, huh? Someone unmute themselves. Karen, you're unmuted.
What is
Any
your
question?
favorite flavor?
So
Oh my God, here we go.
Mint cookie.
Katie's favorite flavor is chocolate mint cookie. My OG favorite flavor is juicy watermelon. However, over the past couple of months, I've been playing around with other flavors because I know summer's coming and there's nothing better than like a ice cold juicy watermelon on a hot summer day after you train. But I'm on this kick of mixing up the magical charms and the chocolate milkshake together, and it tastes like Count Chocula cereal, and that's something that Katie and I can agree on is pretty damn good. But my favorites are those together, not really separate, but together they're really good. I'm also a big fan of root beer float. That is bomb. It tastes like ice cream soda, and I don't drink soda. Or CTC, because that was the first flavor I ever bought, and that tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So those are my top 5. I kind of just rotate through them because I have like protein ADD. I want to get different flavors all the time. Yeah. Anybody, no questions at all? You guys are going to hit your protein every day. You're going to get your post-workout shake in every single day. You know exactly what food sources you're going to get. You know how to portion out your meals. You know how to shop at the grocery store. Like nothing. We feel good. Okay, gang. Well, look, in conclusion, remember, let's break it down. Want to have 25 to 30 grams of protein every 2 to 4 hours throughout the course of your day to stay in a muscle building state. Okay, this is going to help us stay anabolic, which is going to help us not just with protein muscle synthesis, but cognitive function, help your immune system, hair, skin, nails, bones, joints, organs, ligaments grow stronger. Okay, those protein sources should come from, it would benefit you to have them come from meat, fish, poultry, non-fat dairy, or supplements. All right. So use those supplements as you need, whether it be a shake or a bar or a protein stick or protein peanut butter, or you're making a mug cake or something like that. Protein is going to help us with this muscle growth, right? Which is where you want to be. Even if you want to lose weight, we want to put on muscle. Muscle is not bad and weight is not bad, right? If we're doing the right thing, you may even see a little bump in weight before we see it go downhill. Right. Several clients I've worked with are like, I put on weight. I'm like, just chill. Like, you're going to tell me you're really full. And then in a week from now, you're going to be like, I'm starving. And I'm going to say, good, it's working. All right. That's part of the process. All right. It happens. And make sure if you're doing this consistently, you're going to be able to help yourself focus throughout the day. All right. You're not going to be having as many cravings throughout the day. And you're going to actually promote better recovery, which helps you in the gym. When we don't do that, the reverse happens. We're more hungry. We have more cravings. We make worse decisions. We don't have good workouts. We don't feel like going to the gym. We don't go to the gym. You don't see your goals. Everybody wants to hit their goals. That's why you're here, right? So go eat your protein. Post about it in the group. Share any questions, comments, or concerns you have in the group as well. We're all in this together. Eric and Katie, I really appreciate you guys chiming in. You guys got anything else? I missed anything? All right. Well, have an amazing day, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about this all over again. Bye-bye.